Okay.
Yeah. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
My name is Simon Akam. I'm a British journalist based in Sierra Leone in West Africa.
What is your opinion of the performance and integrity of NGOs working in Sierra Leone at the moment?
You see a huge number of NGOs in Freetown. It's impossible not to see them. You see their vehicles, you see people who work for them. And I've been there for a while. It's very clear that an enormous amount of aid money has been spent since the end of the civil war in Sierra Leone in 2002. What is less clear is how successful all of this has been. The country remains one of the poorest nations in the world. The indicators for health, for mortality and so forth are still very bad. And in many ways the return on all of the aid money does seem to have been rather limited.
What sort of relationship should there be between NGOs and journalists?
What I feel about this is that the media should write about the aid industry, and it is an industry, in the way that we would write about other industries, that it should be done fairly, impartially, but with rigour, and that NGOs should not be given a special pass just because of the kind of organisation that they are.
Do you think that journalism can benefit from certain organisations like the Human Rights Watch, whose job predominantly is to gather information and create caseloads?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think in some ways those are some of the most valuable of these organisations, these bodies like Human Rights Watch or perhaps like the Crisis Group, who are able to produce these long-term, very in-depth reports which media organisations would not have time to do themselves. They're tremendously valuable. I often read those reports and I find them very useful. That I think is one of the areas of the NGO world that is most valuable.
So what do you envisage as the role of journalism in the 21st century in terms of reporting the news and creating greater accountability for the work of NGOs?
Well, I think that's what it is, really, isn't it? I mean, it's about accountability. In many ways, these organisations operate without a large amount of it. They have met in the development rather than the emergency relief sphere with, in many ways, rather little success over a period of decades. And I think that it's about accountability, and at the end of the day, that's really better for everyone. I mean, that's better for the Western taxpayers who fund these organisations, but also for the NGOs themselves, and for the population in developing countries who they're trying to help. I mean, these things should be held up to scrutiny, and it should be done fairly. I think it's fairly self-evident, but I can see how a situation has arisen whereby that doesn't happen. And a particular problem is that increasingly there is budgetary pressure within news organisations. Foreign news is fundamentally expensive. You need to fly people to places, or even more so if you're maintaining bureau in foreign cities. And it becomes tempting to accept free travel from NGOs, or almost to accept reporting from them. But that is a problematic development. It compromises your editorial independence. And I feel that we should write about these things rigorously and fairly, and we should really try and keep funding there for foreign news, because it's important.